Straight ahead on 12 News, how sick is too sick? What a Plymouth consulting firm has to say about employees coming to work ill. Plus, plans for the finish line, the Maple Grove project that appears a little closer on the horizon. But first,
we're having a little bit of trouble up here. We did get more snow in the 694 area.
The snowstorm is long gone, but problems remain. 12 News starts right now. For a second day, leftover patches of snow and ice have snarled weekday traffic and multiplied drive times. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Johnson.
And I'm Jennifer Anderson. State, county, and city crews are pushing to clear the roads, but they tell our Renee Bonneau their job is neither quick nor easy.
For many Tuesday morning, the drive into work was a bumpy road.
For people that have driven on kind of backcountry roads, gravel roads, it's the same effect.
Stretches of compacted snow and ice have created a jarring washboard effect on highways and streets.
In some places, the snow isn't quite as compacted, so that'll break out and it'll leave kind of a rut or a dip in the snow compact. And as you're going over the top of it, you're actually kind of bouncing like you would on a washboard.
While many highways in the metro were clear by Tuesday, 694 was still a headache. Now, local MnDOT crews are focusing their efforts there and on all on and off ramps.
We're putting down salt brine on the compacted areas, and we're following that up with rock salt. And then after that, we're going to come through and mechanically scrape that off with the plows.
Brooklyn Park maintenance crews are also hard at work, tending to walkways and more than 200 miles of main roads.
We've got 15 operators out. 4 of them are plowing sidewalks again. The other 11 are salting and scraping at residential stop signs, and also salting is needed on arterial and secondary streets.
Likewise, county trucks are out salting and scraping. Despite their hard work, state, county, and city crews say the roads won't be absolutely clean for another few days. It's hard for crews to clean up when Mother Nature's working against them. Really low temperatures keeps the salt and chemicals from doing their job, and the lack of sun keeps the ice from melting faster. Crews ask for your patience and understanding, because while you might be frustrated behind the wheel, so are they.
The whole thing is a challenge until we're done with it.
Renee Bonneau, 12 News.
MnDOT says once the roads and ramps are back in good driving condition, crews will start clearing snow from bridges and medians.
Letting someone else handle the white-knuckle commute would sure feel good on weeks like this. And in Plymouth, commuters will soon have extra options. Plymouth Metrolink is increasing bus service between the station's 73 Park and Ride ramp and downtown Minneapolis. Beginning January 1st, buses will leave every 15 minutes to and from downtown Minneapolis during the morning and afternoon rush hours. Right now, buses leave every 30 minutes. The Transit Advisory Committee recommended the increase. An anticipated increase in ridership is expected to cover the $100,000 cost. And speaking of roads, plans to complete Highway 610 through Maple Grove are inching a step closer.
Alexandra Renslow is live at Maple Grove City Hall, where the latest 610 plans were unveiled. Alexandra?
2.5 miles. That is all that's left to complete the final stretch of Highway 610 and a north crosstown. These new design plans signal that this project is shovel ready. Now where to find $150 million in funding.
The current end of Highway 610 in Maple Grove marks the beginning of new possibilities.
The northwest corner currently is probably the most undeveloped portion of the city, so once that gets through and the businesses come, the jobs come, the residential developments will come also.
In order for that to happen, the last 2.5-mile leg of 610 from County Road 81 to Interstate 94 needs to be completed.
The funding is the key thing. It's a big chunk.
City officials say it will take at least $150 million in state and federal funding to finish 610, thus relieving the current traffic congestion on Interstate 94.
We don't have funding for this project today, at least to fully build it.
Maple Grove traffic engineer Mark Culver says the project isn't slated for funding until the year 2020. But by unveiling these design plans, it signals they're ready to go now, should money arrive early, just like in 2009, when the most recent stretch of Highway 610 got its funding.
When the stimulus bill was passed, we were able to capture that money. We had the shovel-ready plans available to us, and we were able to build that road. We want to do the same thing here.
This public information session here at City Hall gives residents a chance to offer their input. The next step is for the Maple Grove City Council to offer its informal approval for these plans. Reporting live in Maple Grove, Alexandra Renslow, 12 News.
Still a bit of a waiting game, though. Thank you, Alex. Conflict continues in the Anoka-Hennepin School District, this time regarding a parent chosen for the anti-bullying task force. The school board received more than 70 applications for the anti-bullying task force. Board Chair Tom Heidemann then chose 25 people. A petition was presented to the board Monday night asking to remove one of those people, Brian Lindquist. Lindquist repeatedly spoke at school board meetings about his concerns regarding homosexuality in schools. Petitioners claim Lindquist's views are anti-gay and go against the purpose of the task force.
Some elementary school children in the Wayzata School District may have to switch schools next year. Monday night, the Wayzata School Board approved attendance area changes for elementary schools in western Plymouth. Some schools like Plymouth Creek had become too crowded and changes needed to be made. The Wayzata School Board tried to minimize the number of students impacted, but the board chair admitted there would still be some unhappy parents.
It's impossible to find a solution where every single person is going to be, perfectly happy. But I think the district's done a great job of listening here and really trying to respond as much as possible.
And Board Chair Jay Hesby says the boundary changes would impact fewer than 200 elementary age kids out of 4,600 total. And the changes will take effect in the next school year.
A new adventure and a new friend. That's how the Brooklyn Center City Council sizes up a newly approved sister city relationship with Wayzata in Liberia. Wayzata is a city of 40,000 people and is primarily a farming community. The City Council feels establishing a sister city relationship will give native Liberians a better sense of belonging in Brooklyn Center. No tax dollars will be used to establish their partnership. Brooklyn Park has a similar agreement with the city of Kakata in Liberia. There were hugs and tears as a Brooklyn Center Council member wrapped up 16 years of public service. Kay Lasman was honored at her last Brooklyn Center City Council meeting last night. She was first elected in 1996 and this year did not run for re-election. She served as mayor pro tem and on many committees over the years. Lasman was praised by fellow council members and has told us she's proud of the direction the city has taken with several redevelopment projects over the past few years. Well, coughing, sneezing, fever sure feels like a doctor's office, but it may be your workplace.
Up next in Health Check, how sick is too sick for work? Then later in sports, we'll show you how the Hopkins girls hockey team has skated to an 8-2 record to start the season.
But first, it's your AccuWeather forecast. The holiday season is upon us, but that also means it's the season when dreaded cold and flu viruses wreak havoc on people's immune systems.
And inevitably, some people who get infected still tough it out at work rather than resting at home. And in today's Health Check report, Delane Cleveland tells us more about when you should call in sick and what one Plymouth company is doing to prevent the problem.
Every day, several hundred employees make their way to Turk, an automation factory in Plymouth.
We are very fortunate that we have a really great group of people here that work at Turk.
A great group of people who have a strong sense of dedication to their work.
They're very, very dedicated.
So dedicated, in fact, that Amanda Mansfield of the HR department says they don't always use their sick time.
And so I think that there is somewhat of that mentality, but it's our jobs and our managers, our leadership's jobs to make them aware that it is okay to, and mostly encouraged to take care of yourself first.
Pat Stodden with Plymouth consulting firm TrueSight also encourages companies to tell their employees to stay home if they're sick.
And typically what we would tell them is if they're sick, first of all, do you have a policy? And if you do, hopefully it says, we don't want you here if you're sick.
Yet she admits that part of that employee mentality to work sick comes from the example set by their supervisor.
Because if they come into work sick, employees look at that and think then that that's the standard.
Meanwhile, back at Turk,
let's check your blood pressure today like we always do.
They installed an on-site clinic run by Health Partners in 2007.
Right now we are open Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We see on average 16 people a day.
The clinic offers medications, body mass index evaluations, and vaccinations.
We have flu mist, we have flu zone for influenza. We have hepatitis B, and we also have the tetanus, diphtheria, and whooping cough, which has been going around.
She says the accessibility of the clinic has helped increase the overall health of Turk employees.
So yes, less people are calling in sick.
It's a luxury that most employers don't have, yet for anyone here at Turk who still catches a bug, they're advised to stay at home.
Because if you're not at 100%, you can't give us 100%.
In Plymouth, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Consultants say that in general, workers who call in sick too often could be at risk of losing their jobs if a company is doing layoffs. However, companies are advised to take the employee's entire absence record into account before taking such action. Well, coming up, the Brookdale Library tries to tap into the potential of its library patrons.
But first in sports, a veteran Wayzata boys basketball team is shooting for big things on the court. John Jacobson has their story and more when we come back.
John Jacobson with Sports Now. We're talking about hockey and a team that can really put some goals on the board.
Yeah,
Hopkins must be feeling pretty good right now.
I think so, yeah. They play in a tough conference and in a tough section, but it's been so far so good. The Hopkins girls hockey team is off to an 8-2 start and has outscored its opponents 50-14. Jason Melillo has more on the surging Royals.
Hopkins is not a very big or physical team, but the Royals are fast and communicate well on the ice.
I think we have a lot of good team chemistry. We're able to move our feet really fast. We practice with intensity, so that really transfers to the game, allows us to play with intensity.
Hopkins has used solid play at both ends of the rink and a quick transition game to win 8 of its first 10 games.
We do a really good job going from defense to offense, and we have a lot of players who are really skilled, so we try to get them the puck, and they just try to get up the ice and put the puck in the net.
Nina Rogers has led the offensive charge. The junior already has 16 goals and 30 points.
Me, Corbin, D.Y. just always know where we're going to be. So, like, if I'm flying, D.Y. knows where I'm going to be, so she passes it there. So it's like we always know where to be, and we communicate a lot.
Hopkins is a young team, but a lot of the girls have now played together for a few years, and their success this season is a progression of that cohesiveness.
And they're all friends off the ice. Our locker room is great. The chemistry you heard the girls talk about is extremely strong. They really care for each other, and they don't care who scores. I mean, our puck movement has gotten better. I think when we move our feet and we move the puck, we're pretty tough.
The Royals know the season is young, and they'll be tested when the late conference schedule starts. Staying focused and playing their game is the simple mantra Hopkins is aiming for. Jason Melillo, 12 Sports.
Hopkins will play its first conference game against Edina on Saturday. Boys basketball teams around the area are getting back into the swing of things, entering their second week of games. Wayzata's boys have high expectations for the upcoming season. The Trojans have started the year 0-2 with losses over the weekend at Lakeville South and Armstrong, but there is plenty of returning talent. Zach Robertson is one of the Lake Conference's top players, while Drake Mianis, Bradley Carlson, and Kyle Calavoda are all returning regulars from a Wayzata team that won 19 games a year ago.
We got a good team. I like our team, and I like how we practice. You know, we got a nice mix of older guys, and we got some young guys that are going to be really, really good, and they need a little bit of seasoning.
I think we move the ball really well. I think we're really unselfish, and I think that defensively we're going to be really tough because we're so athletic, and we got a lot of returning guys.
We had Bradley, Zach, me, and Kyle, who played a lot of minutes last year, who are returning. So I think that will help a lot of the new guys also be able to step in and feel confident.
Well, not a tall team. The Trojans have some good multi-sport athletes with game experience that should help them compete in the tough Lake Conference this season.
The Lake Conference has always been tough, and tough again this year, but I think if we play well, we can beat any team. Our goal has been here I've played here this is my 4th year. My goal is to beat Hopkins. It's always been a struggle, but I think this year with our team, we can definitely do that.
You know, I think we're as good as everybody in there. You know, but I would say, to give the other people credit, I think every team can win the conference.
After a game against Egan tonight, Tuesday, the Trojans host Cooper Friday night at 7, a game you can watch live here on Channel 12. Maple Grove High School senior Paige Urquhart last month earned a full scholarship from Boise State University to compete for the Broncos in women's gymnastics. We featured the club gymnast on this week's Sports Jam show here on Channel 12. Here's a clip from that story. It's a time-consuming sport. During the school year, Paige practices 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. But the time spent working out isn't necessarily the hardest part for this honor roll student.
I would just say like managing your time with school and everything, because we do 4 hours of practice a night, so to come home and then have to do your homework on top of that, it gets a little rough, but it's worth it in the end. I've learned to live with it over the years. I feel like it actually makes me less of a procrastinator because I know I have to get it done a certain time span rather than coming home and having all night. But I mean, I take study hall and stuff at school to try and like de-stress the load.
You watch the rest of Paige's story as well as the top prep highlights of the week on Sports Jam. It's on through Wednesday at 3:38 and 10:30 p.m. on Channel 12. It is a demanding schedule when you're in that club gymnastics, 20 hours a week, and she does that pretty much year-round, too.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
All right, thanks, John. Well, still ahead, why the Brookdale Library wasn't your usual quiet place today.
We're back in just a moment. There are holiday light displays, and then there's the Burkhardt residence in Brooklyn Park. We're told there's more than 65,000 lights adorning this home. The homeowners say they even allow people to sit on the bale of hay in front of the house and become a part of the display for pictures. The display runs from 5 to 11 p.m., 7 nights a week. And if you know of outstanding light displays in your neighborhood, let us know about it. Just send an email to news@12.tv. Well, finally, there was no need for hushed voices at the library this afternoon. In fact, Brookdale Library was far from quiet.
Getting ready? 5, 6, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Tapping echoed through the library thanks to this group of beginners. The Guthrie Theater put on a tap dancing workshop at the Brookdale Library Tuesday afternoon. The class was free and participants got to learn the basics of tapping from a theater professional.
There's something really exciting about someone who's brand new to a new skill. This is one of those opportunities where we come to them and we say, hey, there's some really great stuff out there and you might be really interested in it.
This is just one of many offerings at Hennepin County Libraries. Guthrie artists will teach more than 24 act-out workshops throughout the winter. They are designed to introduce adults, teens, and kids to everything from dance to public speaking to Shakespeare. So maybe some aspiring dancers in that group.
I think I could do that, but I got a feeling it gets a little bit more complicated.
It was a good first primer for people if they've always wondered what tap is all about.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the news for now. Thanks so much for joining us.
Stay with us. Community Corner is coming up next. We'll see you back here tomorrow beginning at 4.